Hi there, my name is Kim McGuire, and I am the Chief Operating Officer of Fortune Management, and I also run the whole state of Colorado territory for Fortune. And I'm going on about 23 years working with Fortune, and I'm very, very passionate about the preservation of private practice and doctors owning their own businesses and being fantastic leaders as well as excellent clinicians and creating the practice of their dreams. I'm here with my friend Todd. Todd, why don't you introduce yourself?
Thank you so much. So, my name is Todd King, and I'm an executive coach and managing partner for Fortune Management of Pennsylvania, Ohio, West Virginia. We've recently expanded into Indianapolis and Chicago and Michigan. There's so much exciting things that are going on, and I'm just happy to be here and help be able to share some of my expertise in marketing with everybody.
So
And so,
excited to be having this conversation with you.
Absolutely. Let's get started. Like when we get into marketing, Kim, before we actually get into the statistics, and I know everybody wants to get into nuts and bolts of marketing, but what's the most important to you for a practice even before they even start evaluating their marketing strategies?
Well, I truly believe, and if you've been around Fortune for any period of time, you know how important culture is to us. So before a doctor spends a dime on marketing their practice, we want to make sure that they have the culture among the team that is all about patient care and providing the type of experience that the doctors that's aligned with the doctor's vision. So that means, do we have the right people on the bus? Do we have the right people on the seats, in the right seats of the bus? Do they have great communication strategies? Are they passionate about the vision of the practice, and are they living into that culture? Because we want to make sure the patients have an amazing experience when they walk through that door. And so then that will attract even more patients into their practice. So I think that's the number one thing they need to do is take a look at the culture of their practice prior to doing any marketing strategies.
Absolutely. I think as Peter Drucker once said, culture eats structure and strategy for breakfast, right, Kim?
Yes, for sure. Love that. Yeah, I love that quote. I did a whole entire presentation on that. I think that that's really the basis, and that goes into the doctor being a great leader and being very clear on his or her vision as to how the patients want to be treated in the practice, not just from a clinical level, but from an experience level. What do you think the most important things are, Todd?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it starts with the vision and culture, and but as we start to get into actual marketing strategies, I think it's very important because most of our dentists, they're not experts in marketing. They have the right team established, they have the right support. And I always say when we're looking at marketing, we got to decide which lever to pull and when. There's so many different marketing strategies, right? How do you know when to implement one strategy versus the other? So I think having that guidance to be able to, from your marketing experts, from your coach, from your I call it your power team, putting that together to make sure, hey, we're pulling the right lever at the right time. And I think really getting into the strategies, Kim, I would say first and foremost is you got to position your practice and yourself as a preeminent figure in that market, a preeminent brand, right?
Yes.
We want to be the go-to practice in your entire region. So I think that's really establishing yourself first, and that kind of goes into all the different marketings and all the different levers that we can pull.
Exactly, exactly. Well, I think it's important for our audience to know that there are four distinct parts to marketing. And exactly to your point, which lever do we want to pull when? It's important to know what these different areas are and making sure that we're paying attention to all these areas. So the first one, of course, is branding and identity. It's important that the doctor, as you said, Todd, wants to be the preeminent doc dentist in that area. So what is their brand? And a brand is different than their identity. Their identity is their logo. Let's fall in love with our logo. Let's make sure that we have our logo on all of the swag and make sure it's out there in the community. Um, but the brand is really the emotional connection that your community, that your patients have with your practice. So is it family oriented? Is it high technology? Is it high-end comprehensive care? Is it fun and exciting? Whatever that brand is, make sure you're passionate about it. Then, of course, we also want to make sure our clients have a deep dive into digital media marketing, and I know we're going to talk a lot about digital media marketing in this conversation. That starts with your website, and you've got to have an updated website and make sure that you've got updated photos and that we are constantly changing this website because Google really likes that. We also want to make sure we've got our social media pages that are being used, of course, Facebook and Instagram, maybe TikTok, and maybe LinkedIn, YouTube, the list goes on and on. And then we also want to make sure that we are focusing on reviews and testimonials. So there's a lot that goes into digital media marketing. Third, we've got internal marketing, and we want to make sure our internal marketing is creating that wow experience for that patient, whatever that looks like for you and your practice. And then lastly, we've got external marketing. And external marketing can look a lot of different ways for a lot of different practices. Some practices that might be in more of a small town can get away with advertising in the local paper. That might not work for the Denver Post. That would be too broad of a reach. So community events, getting involved with different ways, different areas around the community, and even your sign. If you're so lucky that you've got a physical space where you can put a sign out front, make sure it's visible, make sure it's something you're proud of and you're really excited about. What would you add to that, Todd?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that just kind of diving into a couple, like if I say, hey, what are the top three strategies or things that I would do? One of the most overlooked strategies, and you hit on this, is nonprofit events, things that we can do in the community.
Yes.
And one of the things that Fortune is affiliated with a nonprofit called Freedom Day USA. It is a phenomenal event. It just happened across America. It's a way for dentists to be able to connect with their patients, give free dental care. It's called Giving a Day of Free for a Lifetime of Freedom. But what's great about this is your marketing team will send out press releases. They are going to help you get the newspapers, the camera, the news organizations, everybody at the event. Like we just had the biggest news agency in Pittsburgh came with a reporter doing interviewing our teams, and almost every single one of our teams got free advertising out of it, free publicity. But it was a great way to do it. So I think that is one. One of the second ways is everybody's hearing about AI, right? Everybody's hearing about AI and marketing. So I think there's you got to understand where AI is, or have some. No, you don't have to understand that as a dentist, but at least somebody on your team, your power team, should be understanding this. And there's even things now called a GBT. Well, I know there's Chat GBT, but they used to be called something different. But it's almost like creating a bot. Every practice now can create their own GBT, and it has everything about their practice. So it's not just general AI. Now it's building to their individual practice, their individual brand. You would upload your logos. You would upload the doctor's vision statement in that GBT. So now anytime you go in to create and ask them any questions for marketing, that GBT instantly knows the doctor's vision. It instantly knows that it is in Bedford, Pennsylvania, and the population of Bedford, and how to market based on this. And also we talk about the doctor's personality and how the different things that make them who it is. So I think that's a really big thing. It's starting to change. You can even share that GBT with your marketing agency. You share it with your source leader in marketing. I think that's a great thing. And
I
the last
love all this technology. So fun.
Yeah, it really is. And I think this is the last thing, because I know that it was three things, is when you're a preeminent figure in your market, is you're going to start marketing not just to patients, but other dentists are going to see that as well. So let's start marketing for merger and acquisitions, roll-ups, ways that we can acquire patients and grow our business, not necessarily just strictly marketing for patients. And that's one thing that I love to have clients that I work with do, is that we're constantly marketing direct mail, even some traditional mails for growth as well.
What I love, Todd, about what you're saying is all the different levers that we can pull. And I want to dovetail on something you're saying that's so important, that when we dive into social media, which I think we will in this conversation a little more, we can talk a little bit about when you're talking about social media or putting your name out there, it's not just about attracting more patients into your practice. It's also about attracting amazing team members into your practice. So many doctors across the country have had some high turnover due to a myriad of reasons, people moving, people changing careers, etc. You want to make sure that you are marketing your business and creating a brand that people are attracted to, that they want to work there, they want to get their dentistry done there. It's awesome. And the other thing that you were talking about, before I ask you, Todd, about budgets, because I think this is a really important subject, I think it's important to emphasize how critical it is to have a marketing firm that understands dentistry. The olden days of, yeah, my brother's sister-in-law's cousin's friend builds websites and I'm going to have them do a cheap one for me. Those days are gone. If you are going to be a savvy brand within your market, you must have a company that understands your industry. So you've got to have a company to build your website and help you with your brand that knows dentistry. And there's a myriad of wonderful companies out there that will help you do that. However, I think that's really important these days.
Oh, absolutely. It truly is, especially SEO and everything's changing constantly. It is very important to have somebody that recognizes that and is following those patterns.
For sure. So, Todd, what are you telling your clients? What are you advising your clients as far as how much they should be spending on marketing?
Well, first and foremost, there is set numbers. We love to have the 2 to 4% is what we really look at Fortune. But before we even really get into that, we better understand what the lifetime value of every patient that comes in is. And then we kind of even break it down a little bit farther here in Fortune's your annual patient value. When you're marketing for somebody, you need to know what that patient is going on average. What are they going to bring to your practice over the lifetime? It's really hard to set a budget if you don't know what that lifetime value is going to be. So I think that is first and foremost the most important thing that you can do.
How do you calculate that, Todd?
Great question. When for the annual patient value, one thing that we really like to do is we take a look at all of the active patients. And when I say active patients, it may not be the active patients in your Dentrix, but the active patients that have been through the doors in the last 18 months and
Yep.
take that and looking at the revenue, so the actual collections. But we can even take it a step deeper, and I don't have all the time. I could spend the whole day just talking about the insurance and how insurance are coupons and basically a form of marketing as well, and how different fee for services and different things on those regards. But I think that would be one of the most important things on that. And then, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, so what we're seeing is a strong practice has what an average of an annual patient value of say 800 to 1200 or more dollars per year. So if you're underneath that, if you're at say a $500 or $600 annual patient value, what is that? What do you think that's telling that doctor?
Well, it's telling that doctor, well, for one, when I see a practice that has lower annual patient value, I want to
Yeah.
start looking at some of the technologies, and there's so many different things that we can look at as well.
Hmm.
What procedures are they doing? That's a
Yep.
really important thing that goes into marketing because when we say, hey, we want to do average on 2 to 4%, but if I have a doctor that's specializing in all in X and doing all these arches, you know what? They may be at 10%, but they're doing
Yes.
$25,000 arches, $25,000 procedures, their margins are going to be different. So
That's
every
exactly
dental
right.
practice is going to be it's going to operate differently. So yes, you want to have a
100%.
good rule of thumb, but you also need to have the guidance of a really good marketing team and a really good coach or somebody that can help you understand that. I think it's very important. We always use what's called an ROI calculator, a marketing ROI
Yep.
calculator. I'm sure
Hmm.
you use something along those lines too, Kim. I mean, it's important to stay within your budget, but just looking at a P&L and saying, oh, I spent 2% or 4% on my marketing this month. And what did I get? I got 10 new patients. Well, what actually are you doing? What strategies did you do? And, that kind of leads into a team effort of making sure. It's one of the most important things that everybody that listens to this should do is make sure that the source of how the patient came to the practice is inputted in the practice management system. Now, I have so many people and I've heard so many excuses. Oh, well, the lady that answered the phone didn't input that. No, this is a team effort. If,
Yes.
if, if you can see that all the way across the board, from the front to the hygienist doing the visit, to the dental assistants, to the walkout, you have so many times to add where the patient came from. It's such an easy conversation. You know, hey Mary, we found we have a lot of our patients are come from referrals. Who can we thank for you for being
Yes.
here? And it's simple as that. Then you input the question. So I do believe that is a complete team effort, and so we got to make sure the sources. And then one other, giving a lot of advice here, but one other thing that I would make sure is make sure you have the sources for the drop down, making sure that they encumber everything. That they encumber Facebook ads. They encumber just Facebook. They encumber all the different things that you can do. It's not just a general online. Well, how are we really going to tell what we're doing? Um,
Exactly. Because no matter, I completely agree with you. And I loved your question and I want to repeat it so people hear it. Tell me, Mrs. Jones, who can we thank for sending you to our practice? Because that does two things. One, it gets the name of the person who sent them to the practice if they did have a patient-to-patient referral, which, by the way, are the best referrals and the best new patients. The second thing that it does is even if they didn't get referred to the practice by their friend or family or a coworker, it tells them in their mind subconsciously, oh, patients refer to other patients in this practice. And what I also believe that if Todd, if you and I have been friends even since we were kindergartners and we know each other really well, and I refer something to you, you're still going to look online and you're still going to look the practice up on the website. So the patient may say, oh, I'm looking at your website right now. However, they may have been referred to by their coworker, and we want to make sure we're thanking that coworker or the patient who sent them. And that brings me to another very important point. Are we thanking our patients for referring their friends and family to our practice? I believe that the handwritten thank you note is a lost art, and it sets you apart if you actually write, thank you, Mrs. Jones, for sending us Sally to our practice. We look forward to serving her, treating her, etc. And then sending it in the mail. We only really get junk mail these days. We don't really get nice handwritten thank you notes, but you've got to make it easy. You've got to have them printed up. You've got to have the stamp. Maybe it's paper clipped to the patient's route slip. Make it easy for your team. However, thank your patients. And also be thinking about if you're going to thank them with a gift card to a local restaurant or coffee shop or whatever it might be. People love to be thanked no matter how much money they have. Everybody likes something free and everybody likes to be appreciated. That goes into our internal marketing ideas. So,
Absolutely.
yes, recording our sources as to what source did we get this new patient. And that's also, you mentioned ROI or return on investment, Todd. That's how we figure out what our return on investment is. How many patients came this month from this marketing lever that we pulled?
I will tell you
Awesome.
this: there's no better ROI than referral marketing. And you know, Kim, we've known each other for 5 years, and I'm a number geek, and I'm going to throw some statistics out to you out there that are just from referrals. So, as somebody that is referred has an 18% less churn rate than somebody that we would just do traditional marketing. That
Yeah.
same patient has a 16% higher LTV, lifetime annual value,
Mhm.
when they're in the practice. And overall, their profit margin for you as a dentist is 25% higher. So anything that we can do on the referral basis is going to be it's going to really exceed anything else. But you have to have everything else in place because, like you just mentioned about the website, you have one chance. First time you meet somebody, you're making an impression, right? That website better be that first impression.
That's
Right.
exactly
So
right.
for the art, like you said, 100% couldn't agree more, Kim. How people are going to, yes, you're going to get that referral, but they're still going to go look you up. You have one chance to have that really good website. And I'm just going to leave, one last thing with referrals because I'm so big with my teams on referrals. And I always say this, my team always laughs, but referrals are not just a strategy, it's a philosophy of building trust and advocacy with your patient base. I mean, that's really what referrals is, and they're always going to be less skeptical and have as many multifaceted referral systems in place inside the practice as possible.
And the truth is, Todd, every great small business out there, whether it's a plumber or uh, a landscaper or whatever it is, when you think about yourself, you're always going to ask your friends and family for a referral. So the best patients come from that. And I love your statistics to back that up. For sure. So let's talk a little bit, Todd, about social media and the different platforms like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, etc. What are some strategies to build your patient base there?
Well, first and foremost, I would say that if you're only using Facebook, that's a problem. A lot of the dentists I see only have a Facebook page because what happens when Facebook changes the algorithm? Then you're stuck, right? So I really think when you're looking into the social media, you need to have diversification. You need to be diversifying, attracting all the different generations. So making sure you have TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube channels, everything that you've heard along the road. And then one thing you mentioned earlier, Kim, I just really would love to elaborate just a little bit is in social media is you mentioned LinkedIn. A lot of people, I don't see very many dentists on LinkedIn.
Hmm.
And LinkedIn is basically a social media for the workforce, right? And what I'm seeing is my offices that have a really good LinkedIn company page, you can recruit from there. You are
Hmm.
getting higher level, higher um, dedicated employees when we are finding when we're actually using LinkedIn. And so I really think that that's so important to have making sure that your team. So if you take one thing right now from this session that we're having is just make sure that you have a company LinkedIn page for when it's so important for when you grow. But I
I
think
love that. I love LinkedIn. I think you're right. It's a very professional way to promote any whatever business it is. It's awesome. And I think just generally ways to engage people on social media. First of all, use it, because what's worse than having no social media at all is having, your last post was in 2015, and it's like tumbleweeds on a Facebook page. That's the worst, because then somebody's like, is this business even happening? Is it even in business? So you've got to have a great strategy to be posting once or twice a week at least. We don't want every single day, because that will be too much in people's feeds. I do believe, though, that finding creative ways to post is very important, and follow other dental practices in your area or across the country to get some ideas. Get your team involved. It's not all about just the doctor, it's the doctor and the team finding out ideas to post. And I really like the 70-30% split. In other words, 70% about promotion, or about fun and engagement and showing off the culture of your team and your patients and what you all are doing, just and your personalities. And then 30% about promotion, promoting your technology, promoting that you place implants or do clear aligner therapy, or that you're always looking for new patients. It's okay to promote those things. Just sprinkling it in with some of the fun stuff is essential. The other thing I would say is, please avoid generic posts. The whole like dancing molars saying happy 4th of July is just totally old school, and you'll see it doesn't get any engagement. And in fact, people might even stop following your feed if you have too many boring generic posts. So instead of having the dancing molar with the flag saying happy 4th of July, maybe you go to the dollar store and you get fun 4th of July hats and some flags, and you take a picture of the team wishing everybody a happy 4th of July. Or New Year's is coming up, get some fun New Year's decor and take pictures of your team wishing everyone a happy New Year. Then you're going to get a lot more engagement, and it's going to be a lot more fun, and it's not so boring, quite frankly. Um, and again, I mentioned this earlier, but the more engaged you are with your social media, it creates community for your current patients. It attracts new patients to the practice because it helps with your organic SEO, and it also could help you with attracting other new team members to your practice, because the team members that might be interviewing for your practice are reading your reviews, and they're looking at your social media, and they're deciding if they want to work in your practice. You've really got to sell them on, and you have to enroll them on working at your practice.
what about
What else are
before
you
and
seeing,
after
Todd?
pictures? Well, really quick, I want to ask you, what about before and after pictures? How important do you think they are? And are you seeing success with that, or what are your thoughts?
I do like before and after pictures, but clinical focus can't be the whole entire focus. I also think that us in dentistry, we love just the like looking at the mouth and the smile, but the regular general public likes to see the whole entire face. You can black out the eyes if you haven't had permission from your patient, but the best way to do it is to get permission from your patient and get the full photo of their full face, because it makes a huge difference for the general population. And please, no retractable photos, guys, and no blood. Let's keep the blood off of the website and off of social media. Those of us in dentistry, we get real jazzed up about the clinical aspect. The truth is, though, we are building smiles. We are building the ability for people to laugh and chew and sing and breathe and enjoy their life. They don't want to see the close-ups of your beautiful margins from your crowns.
Absolutely. I think that one of the most engaging posts any of my clients have done is somebody that just got an all-on-4, and they have them at the reveal.
Yes.
It gives me goosebumps every time to see how that person's life has changed Like the person, one of them was just talking about, now they're confident to go apply for the job that they didn't want. Like just seeing that and it's genuine, that that's not set up. That's just,
Yes.
I love that when you can do it like that. Just like you said, just having the pictures. Maybe there is a time and place for that, and you're going to look good among your peers at least.
I love that you brought this up. I mentioned it earlier in passing because there's so much when it comes to marketing. And by the way, doctors, pick one or two of these strategies and implement them fully before you add on more strategies. It's, if you get 1% better every single day, you'll be 38% better by the end of the year. I mentioned video testimonials, and Todd, you just touched on it. Taking video testimonials of your patients is priceless. You can talk all day long about how great your practice is. When somebody else does it, it's worth its weight in gold. And so, and it's very simple. You can just get your phone out. There doesn't need to be lights, camera, action. Just ask them, say, hey, Mrs. Jones, tell us, what do you love about being a patient in our practice? And you'll have them give you probably a 30-second beautiful a couple of statements about why they love being a patient. The other thing you can tell them is, look, we'll delete it if you mess up. And that makes the patient a little more relaxed when they do it. And so I highly recommend telling them that you can delete it if they don't like it. You never have to do that because it's usually just a beautiful from the heart statement. What I love about what you just said, Todd, is doing the reveal. So if you are doing larger cases, doc, and you're doing some more cosmetic cases, asking permission before you give that patient the mirror when they're looking at themselves for the first time, you take a video of them, and like you just said, somebody with a brand new smile, the confidence that they are gaining and the way that they look usually will bring tears to their eyes, the patient's eyes, and of course, or the team's eyes, and then of course the person who is watching the video. It's very inspiring. And those are the types of moments that you have to be ready for, and that go away like this. So be ready for it and be engaged, and always be thinking, who can we take a video of today? Who can we engage with today to capture something really beautiful? And then, by the way, on a technical note, you want to put that on your YouTube channel. That's for you, and on your website and on your social medias. And then you can do a Throwback Thursday 6 months later and repost that video using your content more, not every single week. However, you could use it every couple of months, that same beautiful video, and it'll be worth a lot more than just that one moment in time.
Absolutely. One thing I would say more on social media too, I've had a lot of dentists that I've encountered that says, well, I'm getting enough patients. I don't necessarily need that. And then my instant response is, are you playing the short game or playing the long game? Most of us in dentistry are going to be playing the long game. So you've got to be setting yourself up as that preeminent figure anyway, but you want to make sure that you're not just, hey, may not necessarily think that you need this right now. The community needs it. Everybody needs to see what you are because you are the best at your area. Everybody needs to see what you're doing. And I take an exercise that I do with my clients is I have them take a step back and I have them visualize themselves as a prospective patient coming in and go through their marketing and give me feedback as if they're not there, as if they were somebody that's their ideal patient, and give me feedback as if they're an ideal patient when they look at their marketing. And then I would say, would you go to yourself? And I
Yep.
think when you do that and do that regularly, it gives you a good perspective on it.
That is very, very powerful. And I love that idea. And a couple of different tactics also is when you're talking about social media is you make a huge long list, a big mastermind of all the different ideas that you could do for social media. And some posts are going to be planned posts, right? So like if it's celebrating people's birthday, we know when people's birthday is. If it's celebrating a holiday, and I would stick with the holidays that everybody generally celebrates to promote those. Maybe there's something big going into in your town, or like the start of, if you guys are big hockey fans, the start of hockey season or the start of basketball season. If there's a team that everybody likes in your area, utilize that. So there's planned posts that you can put into a calendar, and then there's spontaneous posts that happen because your specialist brought in this really fun basket, and you take a picture of that, and you of course tag the specialist on social media, or your team does a fun outing, or they do a happy hour, or they go to a baseball game or whatever it is, anytime your team is together doing something fun or a portion of the team is doing something fun, taking a picture. The other thing people forget about, let's say you bought a new piece of technology and you just spent $50,000 on a new laser. Unwrapping that, or having, your Patterson rep bringing that in, you're unwrapping the laser, you're getting all excited about it. Take a video of that, and maybe you do it in slow motion or fast motion, whatever that setting is on your phone. The point is, anything that's happening in your practice, putting it on social media so people can have a little window into what's going on in your practice.
Kim, you mentioned calendar, and I want to say this, and this is so true, but there is no excuse for not doing your post. I know you're busy during the day. I understand. Meta has a program, Facebook, Instagram. You can plan everything out for the entire month. You
Hmm.
could do it on a Friday afternoon in 30 minutes with your source leader and your marketing source leader. There's really no excuse. There's even ones that do LinkedIn right now that you can post for the entire month, year, videos, everything. You have it all planned out. You go over it with your marketing team plans it out with you. You go over it with your coach, and again, you always want to be testing, and seeing what's working, what's not working, what's engaging. Um, Absolutely.
That's awesome. Todd, let's shift gears a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about internal marketing and really promoting our services within the practice. What are some great ideas there?
Oh man, I think it all starts with our belief system, right? We have to believe that we are the absolute best in our region. We are the absolute best in our area. So when we have that belief, and that we have the best skills, we have the best team in our area, that's going to come out even more. And I also think that even when you have that first visit, and setting expectations. So, like, one of the things that I really like is when having, whether they're coming through hygiene first, or they're coming through a consult, however they're coming through, but set the expectations of what your practice is. Tell the patient, we try to see you always right on, within 10 minutes of your scheduled time, unless there's an emergency. Give them all the expectations of everything that you do well. And then in return, patient, Miss Sally, I would ask for for you to be on time, for you to pay your bill. I always like to this. I would ask you to refer at least one patient a year that's like you. We build our business around referrals. We'd much rather have referrals, and take the money that maybe we would be spending, and really put that towards technology and growth and training to give you the best service, Miss Sally.
I love that. I love the way that you just asked for a referral. Teaching our teams how to ask for referrals is one of the things we do at Fortune all the time. And I love how you started with the belief system, because if you believe that your practice that you work in is the best around, why wouldn't everybody come to your practice, right? So having
Exactly.
that belief system, yeah. And then having that not robotic, not super scripted conversation with Mrs. Jones saying, we love having patients like you. Who can you send from your office to our practice so we can serve more of our, so we can serve more people and make more smiles happen, or whatever feels right for you. And I love it being a team approach. It's not just the doctor. In fact, it's coming from everyone. One of the great ways our doctors are doing, or are really getting everybody into the habit for asking for referrals. And by the way, asking for reviews and follows on social media. There's a lot of asking we're doing these days. So a lot of our practices across the country are doing a really cool raffle where they're getting a fun prize. I've seen everything from stand-up paddleboards to Yeti coolers to pizza ovens to $500 Visa gift cards. Whatever works for you and your brand, having that prize. And then the way the patients can enter their name into the raffle is by referring a friend or family to the practice, following us on social media, or doing a review. You cannot ask for a 5-star review, but you can ask for any review. So of course it takes a little bit of tracking and making sure we're finding out the patients that actually do the reviews and refer and follow us. But putting all those names into a fishbowl, and after say 2 or 3 months doing a drawing of one prize or a couple of different prizes, it does a couple of things. First of all, it's just fun, and it makes it a promotion inside the practice. It also gives the team members, it creates a new habit for them to talk about referring their friends and family, and talk about following us on Facebook. So like, why is there a big stand-up paddleboard in the reception area? Oh, have you heard about our raffle that we're doing? you would do that, of course, right before summertime starts. We have a practice here in Colorado that's giving away skis, and so she's got this pair of skis in her reception area. So people are asking her about it. People are talking about it. Getting creative with engaging your patients is a really fun way to get a lot more referrals, reviews, and likes and follows on Facebook and Instagram. So Todd, beyond like online marketing, what are some other really successful strategies that you're seeing?
I am seeing kind of a resurgence in direct mail, and I'm actually seeing some success with it. I think so many people started focusing on SEO, Google AdWords, that the direct mail is it was something that was almost forgotten about, and so I do see I have a resurgence in that,
Hmm.
especially some of our specialty practices that are marketing more towards implants, bigger procedures, because maybe that patient base is not necessarily on Google and everything else, or maybe they don't have the budget to be able to compete against some of the big corporate accounts that are advertising for those services. One of the things that I see work more than anything, may not work for everybody, is like the church bulletin, the neighborhood bulletin. But like the church bulletin, I have a client that does this, and they get at least 3 to 4 solid candidates just from that church bulletin every single month. Like it's just something that, I mean, they spend, I think it's $50 a month. And so I see that. And then I know you said online, but I'm going to take it a little bit different. Instead of just traditional online marketing, but most neighborhoods have like a neighborhood Facebook group.
Hmm.
When people are doing referrals, people are always asking those neighborhood Facebook groups or in those groups, hey, does anybody know a dentist? Or I just moved to the area, know a dentist. Those are some of the best ones. I have just a practice that is just they have some specialty procedures, and they have people just because that group just travel all over for it. So I would definitely think some of those are some of your non-traditional or some of your traditional ways. What
And
about you,
I
Kim?
think
What are you seeing?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. The smaller Facebook groups and also Nextdoor. Nextdoor is that community. I know that's big here where I live. Maybe it's in different pockets of the country. But Nextdoor, yes, somebody will say, anybody have a dentist in the Cherry Creek area? And then people all respond. So all these tactics, they do take effort and they do take some looking out for. So you want to make sure that you're partnering up with some team members and not giving them, of course, the ability to surf the web all day long. However, they are checking on your different media outlets every single week and making sure we're answering response to comments on our Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and all that. It's important that we're keeping up on that. I think community events, you talked about Freedom Day, which is a great community event. Are there health fairs in your neighborhood? Are there ways that you can have a booth and get out there and put same t-shirts on and run a 5K? Something like that is always great. And then I think falling in love with your logo and putting your logo on lots of different swag, whether it's coffee mugs or the bags that people can end up using to take to the grocery store or pens, anything like that. There's very traditional marketing like that. I do think still is good and has people feel connected with your brand.
And yeah, those are the things that you can't really, when we look at the marketing ROI calculator every month with my clients, you can't really see the return on those things. But patients have to see things 10, 12, 15 times before they do it. So they see that. Then when they get the referral, now it even clicks more. Now they're going to be more or less skeptical. Another thing that I've seen a lot of success is now that we're getting ready to get into football season, is putting the banner at the football field, the high school football field,
Yep.
or the basketball arena, whatever. Those little things of sense of community. People
Yep.
still, I know that people love going to the Walmarts and things like this, but in dentistry, people love that community feeling. They love going to their neighborhood dentist. They love being able to have that. So I really think anything else that you can do to differentiate yourself in that is very important.
I love it. I love it. Let's get back a little bit to websites, Todd. What do you think some of the most essential parts of the website are to attract new patients into the practice?
Ah, great question. Well, first I would ask you, is your Google profile completely out? Your Google business profile, is it complete? Is it accurate? I think that's before you even get into your website, making sure that's all set up. Is your Google profile linked to your website? And then is everything right on Google Maps? And is Google Maps embedded into your website?
Hmm.
Those are some big things that I would ask before we even get into the website, because most people nowadays are using Google Maps for everything. And even when you search on Google on your phone, you're coming and it's showing, right? It's showing the closest ones. So Google Mapping is almost as important, because most people are using it as mobile as anything else that you can do. So making sure you're there, and then on Google Maps, it's easy to click to the website. And I think
Exactly.
what we talked a little bit earlier, Kim, is when your website you have one first impression.
Yes.
Some people are seeing me for the first time, seeing, so you have one impression, and you want to make sure that that impression is good. You want to make sure that it's updated in the last 3 to 4 years, probably even sooner now with the way technology is
Hmm.
growing. But then I would also say, when you have your website, are you collecting that visitor's information? Have you found a way to do that? Do you have a capture page? Is there something that you can give them to capture their information? They came there for a reason. We don't want to for them not to be able to capture that. Was there incentives? Or are you do you have a spontaneous request an appointment? Do you have a online
Yes.
scheduling platform? I know we work with several companies like that. But I think most importantly, does it have a call to action? And then I just want to say one last thing is, we always want to lead with education. So how can we lead with educating our patients about the experience, about their oral health? I think those are some of the most important things, not just hey, this is who or meet the team.
Exactly. I love all that. I love the embedded Google Map page. I also think what's important to be embedded is their social media feed, because if you're constantly updating your social media feed, it's updating the website, and Google is seeing that as a more relevant page. And so that is essential to make sure you're doing that. And all the things we're talking about, the SEO, the embedded, all of these things goes back to my comment earlier. You must be working with a reputable dental marketing company who knows what they're
Absolutely.
doing. Yeah. The other thing I think is making sure that your photos are updated. We don't have team members that left 5 years ago, and making sure that the About Us section is one of the most visited pages, the About Us section. So do we have fun bios? And I know doctors, you've taken a lot of CE and you've done a ton of things, but if you have a 2 page long bio, people are not reading it, unfortunately. So we've got to be more clear and concise about who we are, what we stand for, what we're excited about meeting them, and fun photos of you and your team, and making sure that those are updated. Extremely important.
Absolutely.
I think we talked a little bit about measuring success of the marketing campaign when we talk a little bit about return on investment. Anything you want to talk more about that with Todd?
Yeah, there's one really important thing that I do want to go over. And as a lot of our dentists, they hear, hey, I want to get away from insurances, I want to get away from PPOs. If that's you and you've done a proper analysis and you're strategically dropping insurances, again, strategically doing it right, doing it the right way, you know which one has the lowest annual patient value, which one lowest fees, you're not just guessing, but you're doing it strategically. Then I would say, okay, now you're not taking that 20% discount from Delta or 30% discount from Delta. So now that's basically, hey, that's a marketing budget we can have now. So look at it like that. So that's where sometimes, hey, we're creating that. But when you first start dropping insurances, or if you're wanting to go fee for service, one of the things I always tell my clients is, don't be afraid of the break even. And what this means is I always call it the break even offer. If we are going to provide an exceptional experience, which I know anybody that you work with, Kim, or anybody that works with us that's probably listening to this call is going to provide an exceptional experience. But don't be afraid to have a break even on that initial visit. And when I say break even, okay, think about your costs. What does the hygienist pay? What's your PPE fee? What is the total operatory cost during that hour? Break even on it, because guess what? You're future pacing them into an amazing experience and a transformation in their oral health. And it goes back to your beliefs. If you believe that, and I believe in my clients, I know that they can do this. We train them to do this. Then they're going to do that. So let's break even. Let's get them into the facility. Let's get them into our practice, and then um, we'll be able to provide the exceptional experience for them.
I love that. It's great. Keeping track of everything and making sure that you're, um, Yeah, you're knowing your ROI. And I think what you're saying basically is if you are going to change your relationship with some of your insurance companies, the first time you see that patient being okay with adjusting some of their fee and making sure you're
Exactly.
covering your costs so that you can keep that patient for life. I
Yeah,
love that.
breaking even, and you'll
Yep.
figure out. I mean, everybody here should know. Listen on the call. How much does it cost me every time I turn over a room? How much
Yep.
does it cost me, with my hygienist? How much does that cost? And if you can run those numbers with your coach or in marketing and figure out, okay, this is what it is. As long as we can at least come close to break even, and we know that lifetime value, I'll break even the first visit to know that my average patient stays with me for 4 years and they have a lifetime value of $1,400
Mhm.
because I'm going to get higher fees. So I think that's very, very important.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Todd, if we've got some doctors that are feeling overwhelmed and not sure how they should approach their marketing and patient acquisition, what are some tips that you'd have for them?
I think the biggest thing is make it a priority. I mean, everybody, I know that you have so many priorities as doctors, and I just think you got to have at least have a presence. And for you to be the preeminent person in your market, for you to be the expert in your market, and for them people to really trust you nowadays, you have to have that online presence.
Hmm.
So it is not optional anymore. It is a necessity. You have to make time for it. I don't care if your hygiene is booked all the way till November next year. We need to, first off, that's another whole other conversation we need to have. But you need to make time for marketing.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, totally agree. I would also just add to that, um, be passionate about your brand. Be passionate about your brand and know that you're not going to be everybody's dentist. So be okay with choosing who your ideal patient's going to be. Secondly, I would say that expression slow down to speed up. Take some time to make it a priority, as you said, Todd, and make marketing a priority. Put some time into carving out a meeting with your team and putting by when dates and holding people accountable to doing what they said they were going to do. And knowing that you are the brand and you want to be the preeminent brand in your area and stay focused on that, and it will happen.
The circle thing's completely around, Kim. I would just go back to the vision, right? So most of our doctors, we create a vision. All of our doctors, we create a vision with at the very beginning. And you started this whole session with this today. Is in their vision, most of their vision isn't just to have serve a certain amount of people. Most of their vision, they need marketing to execute that. So sometimes our dentists just need a little bit of a reminder of, hey, this is making you get closer to your vision by doing these things, educating, becoming that preeminent figure in your community is helping you get closer to that long term vision.
That's right. That's right. In order to do the dentistry that you want to do, you've got to attract the patients into your practice that are going to be the ideal patients for that. So, putting some time and effort and working on your business rather than in your business is essential.
Absolutely. Absolutely.